Okay, back after a little holiday break here. Um, Trying out a new system for recording using the built-in recording system that NVIDIA has with their new video cards. I can't really remember what it's called, but let's see how this works. There's no way to adjust the levels on it, so I'm hoping that my voice is going to come in loud enough over the sounds of the game. So I don't know if it automatically drops game sound when I talk or what, but if this doesn't work, then you're not going to hear any of this because I'll have to re-record it using one of the other systems that I tend to use. Anyway, today we are playing Castlevania Lords of Shadow Ultimate Edition. I wrote my write-up on this a couple weeks ago and just haven't gotten around to recording any gameplay footage, which probably isn't that big a deal because mostly I just want to show off the things that I didn't really like about it. Tonight while we're playing, I am drinking a Chilean Merlot called Casillero del Diablo. And the reason for that is at the end of this game, you fight Satan. So there's a little Del Diablo in the game, so why not drink some Del Diablo? Pretty inexpensive wine. And not super great, but I didn't want a super great wine with a not super great game. Wine's actually better than the game. So let's see. I'm going to try to continue here.
Evil is drawn to this place like a moth to the flame.
Yeah, no.
And I could not at that moment deny that I myself had...
This is part of the DLC, which was really, really annoying. Let me see if I can get back here to the world map and we can go to a different chapter. Trying to find maybe a chapter in here, demonstrate sort of the problem I had with the game, which was the game's extremely linear, as you can see. You just kind of move forward from area to area, and within each area there's sort of a series of stages that you go to. What it does is it gives you sort of a brand new weapon or ability as you go along, and then demands that you use it. It's kind of anything but the traditional Castlevania type game. As you probably know, the Metroidvania name came from Metroid and Castlevania, early side-scrolling open-world games where you get a new power, and then you'd be able to go back to an area that you couldn't reach before using your new power. This is much more like a traditional Legend of Zelda type game where you go to a new dungeon, you get the new tool for that dungeon, and then you have to use it. Look through here and see if there's a good spot. I would really sort of prefer that this game be truly open world. Darksiders 2, that is what I was hoping for, and it has its problems too. It's sort of like a newer Zelda game where you don't do a lot of going back, and you use your new weapons to access new areas, but you can sort of fudge around and get to them at different points. I don't know. Let's pick one of
The
these
traps
at random.
laid by the abbot have proved tricky, and yet we have managed to break...
Alright. Here's another thing that I really disliked about this game was there's no camera controls at all. So, kind of stuck with the review they give you. It makes the game seem quite old-fashioned. I know it's 3 years old now, but
I'm sure there must be a way of entering the library from here.
it feels a lot like a game from the early 2000s. Most of these things are things the developers say they're going to fix the new one, so at least they had the same feelings about it that I have, the same problem spots that I encountered. I'm not looking for Dark Souls, where you just sort of end up wherever at any time and then just get killed. But I was looking for something where you could actually go back to places you've been before. These new powers and abilities would do something for you.
I'll hold them back.
Here's the other thing I really disliked about this game. You can't lock onto any of the enemies. And the combat is just not very sharp. That is where I compare it most to Dark Souls. After playing a lot of Dark Souls, you kind of get used to this really crisp, precise combat, where you can take advantage of things like backstab, getting around guys, taking advantage of their specific disabilities. This is slam on the ground, jump to dodge that, sort of roll around these guys. You only have 2 attacks. They're fairly similar. You have these secondary weapons like the knives you can throw. Turn on your dark and light abilities that give you more hits, or let's use the light weapons to recharge some of your health. A lot of button mashing, kind of quick time event sort of things where you can. Let's do this one again. So you can grab onto that, hit the B, it'll pull the shield away. And you get to attack a little bit more. Now we can't block. I don't know. Everything about this game felt not very well thought out. Very linear. It was just. Fun quick time events. That's one where you have to push a button at a specific timing point. I think we'll get to a part where I can kind of show you how the different skills they force you to use in the next part of the game. I don't think there's anything like that this part. Let's finish this guy off. I'll go through another part. So, there's that.
Here it is. I found it.
Sort of a retelling of... Fight this guy again. Sort of a retelling of the Castlevania story, which was interesting, where you end up...
Get out of here! I'll keep
becoming
the trap door
Dracula
open.
at the end, but... Bad guys are really weird. You fight the werewolf king in the beginning, which is fine. That's sort of a traditional Castlevania thing. And then you fight a vampire in the next stage, and I kept wondering, what are you going to do next? Fight death? I mean, that's a traditional Castlevania character. This one, it turns out, Zobek, your Captain Picard there, he ends up being death. So you fight him, and then halfway through that fight, lo and behold, you get to fight Satan, which seems sort of ridiculous to me. Here's a fun and exciting puzzle. A lot of puzzles in this. Turn that around. And you gotta use your claws. You've got to punch this thing over. All the puzzles are sort of super obvious. I guess I didn't get that quite where it needed to be. Let's just exit out of here and find another place. Most of your new abilities are gained really early on, too. Maybe even before this. It's like in the first... or 3 parts of it. Let's try the Enchanted Forest.
We part ways, he and I. My instincts tell me he is...
really sort of bad platforming they have to do. Down here, camera angle, once you know where you have to go. There's really nothing to it. It's really guided in what you have to do with the platforming. That's supposed to go up or down. Who knows? The part of the problem. No, yeah, I'm going. See, going back the wrong way because it's cameras move, so I can't see where I'm going. A lot of really bad camera angles in it that just make the platforming much harder than it needs to be, if you even needed it at all. Spend a lot of time up in this castle too, which is alright, I guess. Let's try this one.
This village is one of the last vestiges of human civilization left in this place of...
I need the
It
levels that I
lies
wanted
not
to show
far
you
from the
specific
vampire's
problems in.
castle, our next objective.
No, that's definitely not it. Quite a big werewolf. Oh no, okay. There's a good example of one of the frustrating things. So these vampires from Blade 2 come out, and you have to spend a lot of time, obviously, pushing these big things into their holes, stop them. Can't do that yet.
Unholy beasts!
I need you to push the statue from the other side, so...
Going back and replaying this game is a lot more frustrating than I thought it was going to be. This is really not a very good playthrough. Fire Cemetery. Let's try this one. This one having some jumping around.
So the old god is dead. It has come to this at last. The blood of a god has opened the way. Good Gabriel.
If you couldn't have guessed that Zobek wasn't on your side through this narration, then you have to be fairly daft. There's everything about this game is really odd. I mean, I didn't dislike the story. I always sort of liked Castlevania. The reboot idea is pretty interesting, but God, there's a lot of this. So now I have some like jumpy, like a double jump or. The game is just so very linear and obvious with what you need to do, but the angles are so bad. So you go over here, that automatically sets you up for that jump. You can never really tell where you are or where you're going. Other than you clearly need to just get to whatever the next thing is you see on the screen. So hanging on, must be an extra jump that way. Alright, fantastic. Everything's just so straightforward on where you go. And I don't even tend to mind these sort of button mashing action games. I really like God of War. Which always seems to be like actually God of War is so chaotic. Just blasting around, taking out you guys and what's sort of like this, but there's no feeling to it. It's just there's nothing to it. Exciting's happening while you're doing it. Of course, I have to double jump because I have to double jump. So, what else would I have to do? Oh, maybe I have to. Yep, do some double jumping over here. Didn't even need the double jump there. And should push the right button. There's a lot of these little secret upgrades, and see now, why would the camera not turn around? I'm just sort of looking the wrong way now. Running into things. Boss battles are so very boring and typical. Fight the boss in one state, it changes. Fight him another one. Maybe I'll jump to the first boss battle against the werewolf guy. See that. Sort of. The frustrating thing about this is I really like these sort of Class B games that you used to get a lot of for everything. It was either indie or AAA. There were sort of these mid-tier games that you could do interesting things in. You didn't have the pressures of, you know, having to make $1 billion on everything. And they were interesting. I really like Darksiders 2 especially, and this game is just so boring. Here's another puzzle section. I have to go down here and move some mirrors around. A lot of mirrors in this world that need to be moved around. Alright, let's go way back here. The other thing is the boss battles are oddly spaced out. All the levels are sort of weirdly spaced out. They got 14 chapters here, but they sort of blast through the first 3. And then a bunch of them are up in this castle up here. I mean, this is really all the same thing. And you sort of go a long time. Then you get 2 quick boss battles right here at the end. Chapter 3 is where you fight the Lord of the Lake. And so.
Gabriel has fought long and hard to get to this point. And
Alright. Let's go fight this werewolf guy. I guess you can go back and find stuff and you bring your powers back, but it's not an open world, it's so linear, so there's no reason you'd ever want to go back and redo anything other than just
I have come to fulfill the prophecy.
trying to get items you didn't get before, fill everything out to 100%, which really isn't my thing. There's something organic about it.
A warrior from the Brotherhood. Here
Being able to
on
find a whole new
Lycan's
area
soil.
in a place that you've been through a bunch of times.
You know where you are.
I really want to listen to him. Alright, so hit him a couple times, dodge around, hit him a couple times.
Don't stand a chance against
Don't really get behind him. I mean, maybe I'm spoiled by how well done the boss battles are in Dark Souls, and this is just... Man, it feels like something you'd have on...
Is this the best the Brotherhood
PlayStation 2,
could offer?
maybe. Just 64 kind of thing.
Your skills are no match for mine!
You do upgrade your powers, but
A warrior!
I never remember what they are. They never seem very functional. They get this, do like a spin attack, but it doesn't really do much of anything. Because I failed my trial with fighting without healing or something. I don't know.
Stand a chance against
He
me.
just sort of looks at you and does that thing. It's really obvious when it comes. lock on some camera. That would be really
Is
nice.
this the best the Brotherhood could offer?
And this speeds things up. I know. Dark power really never seemed to do much. I guess it hit a little harder, but
Your skills are no match for mine.
nothing seems super timing based.
Call yourself
Sort of knock
a
these
warrior.
orbs out of them once you've hit a bunch of times in a row. That's how you replenish your powers.
Your skills are no mine.
Alright. So, beat him once. Get Form 2 now. There doesn't seem to be any innovation in this game. It's super by the numbers. Maybe that's my biggest problem with it, is that it should have been more interesting. Kind of got rid of everything that was interesting about the early Castlevania games and then just didn't add anything to it. Especially since I've played a couple of the old ones recently and they're fantastic. I mean, Symphony of the Night's one of the best games ever, and this just doesn't feel like anything. So now he's a big glowy werewolf guy. And he fights more. Exactly the same as he did before. He's just runs real fast now, some different powers. Still does the same frame smash that he did before. Sorry, this is really boring. I'm trying to get past this so I can
Survive to see the
show
end
you.
of this.
Okay, so now he's going yellow and my thing's my bottom, which means I can get some of these souls or whatever they are out of him. Punishment juice.
Sons will feast on your corpse once I finish with you.
I've been hit, so I've started that whole thing over again.
I'll tear you apart.
Happened really quickly. I am playing this on easy, so it may be more of a challenge on hard, but I don't find the attacks and the controls really precise or like strategy, so imagine it being
To see the end of this day.
more fun with him just being harder and hitting harder.
Enjoy dismembering you better.
He does block occasionally, but it's not. As soon as you move, it drops it, so it's fine.
Feast on your corpse once I finish with you.
Anything particular interesting to deal with?
I'll tear you apart with the insects you are. Survive to see the end.
Holograph their moves more.
Dismembering you better.
It seems sort of easy to predict what they're going to do, but not satisfied with it. Let's turn this on.
I'll tear you apart with the insects you are.
Finish this off a little quicker. Oh. Now, when it turns gray like that, it means you got a fun quick time event. This one is, I gotta go smash these things. Never explains why you have to smash these things.
I'll enjoy
Mostly just
dismembering
running
you
around
better.
now. It's also really hard to run this and push forward twice. But because the camera angles are so bad, it's sort of hard to do.
end of this day.
Real hard time running here.
Sons will feast on your corpse once I finish with you.
You can do these sort of use your other powers by holding block and then punching, but
To see the end of
the
this
problem with that
day.
is that as soon as you block, you start rolling around, and then it cancels you out of that move. There we go. Now I get to do a fun quick time event, because just smashing those things wasn't enough. You gotta throw them right. But screw this up. You gotta start bad and get all those totems one more time, which is just fantastic. It seems like this was just something Rock's was gonna do. So, that's the last one. That's I guess the rest of the just started to color up there. Sure. Oh, well, it's a game's a little bit one. Attack games all mixed into when I did something about it, I can play as lackluster. Things where I get yeah. Kind of get on the next level. The thing is that for you don't even get one of the main bases. Speed this first, explain to you while I'm trying to find your dinner. Alright. And here, cyclone. Items, just your already or help you. You have to recharge, and then everyone on screen never found that very useful. It's this sort of nice stuff to do like that. Okay, really lackluster mostly. Never usually. I got new boots, so yeah, you have to run. Frustrating, and you wanted more. It was like being from movie come out. See the commercials now look so fantastic, the story is great, and then it's just not very good. That's, I feel about this entire thing. I am still looking forward to the next one because this game, those problems fixed, is something that I've been really into. Guess I wanted something more like Darksiders than the Castlevania characters, which sounds like what the new ones seem to be. The idea of playing as Dracula is interesting. Now that kind of thing Castlevania before, it sounds like there's a lot harder to do it, different powers. I would like that in the early games, get a little bit of different gameplay, bring it into the modern world sounds interesting. Without the DLC, it would make absolutely no sense that the next game gets into this one, which is kind of an interesting thing. The story sort of completely unraveled at the end, but I'm not going to go into that. Wasn't the story that everybody had problem with. Most games don't have particularly amazing stories, and part of that since you have to be involved with it, so you can't write out exactly what's going to happen, but this was like a sort of B-movie monster Castlevania story, so the problem wasn't really there. It was just really lackluster gameplay. So the game like a couple years ago, it was really excited to play. It took me 2 years to finally get to it. So that's Castlevania Lords of Shadow. Game I was just playing. Only if you have played Darksiders, have played any Castlevania games, and
couple days I should